This is the K95 Sports Show podcast, brought to you by the Fan Zone in Wilmer's Candy Mall.
Welcome to the K95 Sports Show podcast. My name is Bo Staffis. I am your host. Once again, doing something a little different this week because I'm off and I don't want to go in and record at the studio, so I'm just going to do this live again. This week's one is going to be pretty short. I'm just going to go through it quick. Excuse me. Unfortunately, because the Vikings lost, it's the end of the season. I will be doing a season reviews, plural, the next 2 weeks, coming up on the 9th and the 16th. I'll be doing each side of the ball. So I'll be doing the offense 1 week and the defense the next week. Not sure which will be which, whether it be the offense first or defense first. It's going to depend on who I have on the show. I'll be bringing back some of my guests who have been on the show over the previous 4 months to talk Vikings and to just kind of do a review, probably some of the usuals on the show. So please check out the next 2 week episodes on the 9th and the 16th for a review. We'll be breaking down position by position. When we go offense, we'll be talking about running backs, then we'll talk quarterbacks, then we'll talk offensive line, we'll talk wide receivers, we'll talk tight ends. Defense, we'll do defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, and we'll probably throw special teams in there with the defense. So just 2 more real NFL-heavy episodes coming up over the next 2 weeks on the 9th and 16th to talk just reviewing the season and what could have been, what we lost out on it, and everything else. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, we'll go through each position. We'll talk about stats. We'll compare them maybe to previous years on how they did compared to then. And then we'll just give our overall opinion on what our thoughts are on them for the season as a whole. So that'll be happening over the next 2 weeks on the episodes for the 9th and the 16th. So like I said, please watch those when they come out. Well, let's go ahead and get into the game from Sunday. Like I said, I always like to try to start off with something positive. That was extremely difficult to do this game. And sadly, the only positive I could really come up with was the punting and the punt coverage. I mean, that was great. I mean, I think that one that we were kicking out of the end zone, he kicked it 65 yards. We got down there, we surrounded Cohen, and we got him to run backwards, and then we had a penalty on top of that for their punter being in the way on the sidelines. That was just random. You never see that call ever because you just stay off of the white line when a play's going on. So I don't know what that punter was thinking. Apparently, he just wanted to see that beautiful kick a little closer. Apparently, so I mean, I guess that's my only really positive on the game. Let's go ahead and talk about a few things. Surprise, we're talking about O-line. Right away at the beginning, it showed off right away because Compton gave up that quick sack. It was just like the last Bears game. He let a guy run around him within the first part of the game. I mean, literally just around him. And he's a guard. It's hard to run around a guard because there's players on. There's a center and a tackle on the sides, but he just easily ran around him and got to Cousins. So, we'll go more in depth on my thoughts about Compton and everything, but he is a free agent. I mean, he only signed a 1-year contract with us, so he's most likely gone, unless he signs for way cheap and for backup only reasons. Because I think he's okay to bring in if somebody's injured for a little while, but he is not a full-time starter in the NFL, and he never has been really, or at least a solid one. So once we figure that out, we'll know more throughout the season. But like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'll talk about that in the next 2 weeks episodes about the season review and stuff like that. Some other things, Remmers, again, bad run blocking on the one play, just totally whiffed. He's been so inconsistent. the experiment of taking Remmers, who is a tackle, and moving him to a guard has been horrible this year, plain and simple. Bad decision making, but then again, we lost Easton, and I think originally the O line was supposed to be at the beginning of the year. It was supposed to be Reef, Easton, Elfline, Compton, Remmers. I feel that's what they originally wanted the offensive line to be. Of course, Easton with his neck problems, which, by the way, sound pretty serious. I don't know. It might be season. Not season. It might be career ending. We'll know more as the offseason goes on. But so obviously Easton goes down. They're forced to put Compton there. Then they're like, well, we got to put Remmers now at guard, and then we got Hill, who he's probably gone too, and then O'Neal, of course, which was a big surprise. But okay, enough talking about the deep down stuff with that, because like I said, I want to save that for the podcast when we do the offense coming up here. So let's see. Another problem I had with the game. You won't hear me complain a lot about Zimmer, but the challenge flag at the end or in the game, during the game, that was ridiculous. He's got to see. It was obvious that they weren't going to overturn that. He's got to have guys up in the booths saying that, telling him that not to throw the red flag for that, plain and simple. And then if he was thinking about throwing the red flag, and he sees Cousins lining up to go for the sneak like that, and there was literally just one tackle right in front of him, and then it was wide open on both sides of him. So it wasn't like, you got the three defensive tackles just boom, 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 all just sandwiched above the guard or in front of the center and parts of the guard. I mean, it was obvious he was going to easily get that first down. So, that angered me. Luckily, we still got the first down. Then we're going to give the touchdown, but it that worries me, because sometimes Zimmer does do some stupid, some dumb calls there with the red flag. For those watching live, if you have any questions or comments, please comment, and I'll get to them here if I have time here in the quick 15-minute episode. Thanks, T1. Happy New Year's to you, man. Let's keep going. The defense, disappointing, obviously, this last week. We led the league in third down conversions, or giving up the least amount of percentage of third down conversions, and they were 8 for 14 against us. 8 for 14. Now, several of those were late. Were late quarterback scrambles by Trubisky, which he stayed in the pocket most of the game until the end there, right when they needed him to, and he got a few long third downs there. That hurt us. No sacks. I didn't have time. I forgot to check. We'll talk about this again when we do the defense, but I'm assuming the Vikings probably still were number 1 in the league in the sacks after this weekend. Maybe they dropped to number 2 or 3 because they didn't have any. We'll have to check it out, and we'll talk about it on that. But that was some inconsistencies with the defensive line throughout the year for that reason. You have your 10-sack game against the Lions and your 9-sack game against the Dolphins, but then you throw up a bunch of zeros. And actually, I think only one quarterback hit. And I wonder if that was that penalty. I wonder if they counted that, if that roughing the passer was our one quarterback hit. I don't know if they count penalties, if there's a penalty, if they still count that as a stat or not. But that was pretty much our only quarterback hit. Speaking of penalties, we had some bad penalties again. We just talked about one, Weatherly. I talked with people. Yeah, ticky-tack call, but that's the NFL here in 2018. That's just what we got to get used to. But I still believe, and I was talking with people on my Vikings fan page, MN Vikings fan page on Facebook. Come join if you want. That if he would have just kind of ran up to him and then just kind of gave him a bear hug, just bear hugged him. One, you're still telling him you're there. You're kind of telling him, hey, you're lucky, man. I got here just a second too late, but next time I'm going to get you. But then they went to call it. But the fact that he shoved him and he fell to the ground, that's what got the penalty. Yeah, I wish he would have just kind of just bear hugged him. That would have been the preferred method of uh, of hitting him. They're still letting them know that you're there, and but still not getting the penalty. Let's see, wasn't there was a holding penalty. I'm trying to remember now. I mean, 2 days ago and New Year's Eve last night, and my mind's a little hazy. So you know they. So there was another bad penalty later, I believe, that gave them a third down, which would have punted. So I believe they scored the 7 on that, and then they scored at least 3 on the other one. So I mean, we gave up a lot of the points came off of those 2 penalties late, or in a drive to keep the drive going on a third down. So that was no fun. Let's see, no sacks, bad penalties. What else do I have on my list of to-do stuff here? I would almost argue, this is 2 weeks in a row now that we gave up 0 turnovers and we created 0 turnovers. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of a positive too, besides the punting, is that we've had 2 straight games of no turnovers. The only bad thing is that this game is we needed to get a turnover. And then our offense just didn't do anything. Our offense was 1 for 11 on third down. That's another thing that has been killing us this late in the season. The bad third down percentage on offense, or the bad fourth down percentage. The third and ones, third and twos. But then once again, if you don't have an offensive line blocking for you, you can't. It makes it more difficult. If you're up for 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and you got half a second back there as the quarterback, the routes ain't going to get past the first down markers in time before you have to throw the ball or get a guy open. And we saw that with the with Cousins and Thielen kind of going at each other on the sidelines before halftime. I think a lot of people have seen, or read the lips of Cousins saying, "I don't have 10 seconds for that route." So because he took it. Looked like Thielen took the route like an extra 5 to 10 yards farther than Cousins wanted him to. Excuse me. Not sure if that was talked about in the huddle beforehand, if it was just miscommunication or what, but that just goes to show you, if he would have had the time, Thielen might have been able to catch that ball and he would have been able to throw it if he would have had the time for that deeper pass pattern, but he threw it shorter, and that's what happens. So it's I forgot where I was going with that. The point is that the offensive line has been so much of a drag on it. I believe it's us and Houston are the two worst offensive lines by PFF. Pro Football Focus, and just eyeballs. You can tell. I think Houston actually gave up like 60 sacks, but I think a lot of those were due to the scrambling nature of the quarterback compared to Cousins. He kept it more open, alive more, and they would chase after him. And but their offensive line was horrible too. So good news is offensive lines can turn around. The Colts have had a notoriously horrible offensive line for the past few years. They were one of the top lines this year. Seattle had one of the worst lines last year. They got a free agent, and they got a brand new offensive line coach, and they're one of the top offensive lines this year. So, that to me, that's very promising, that if we go out and find a top available offensive line coach, and like I said, I don't want no up-and-comer. I don't want a guy who was an assistant. No, I want a guy who is a solid offensive line coach, who just happened to be part of the crews that got let go over the weekend because he was tied to whatever head coach got fired over the last couple of days. So getting him and getting maybe a free agent and an offense or a pick. We've got the 18th pick in the draft. Not a horrible spot. Unfortunately, the guard spot in this draft is very weak and very thin. So that is going to hurt us, of course. Can't pick a year where there's 4 first-round guards or something. So we'll talk more about draft as we get closer to the draft day, free agency, all that stuff. So that's the nice thing about the NFL is they might only play actual games from August through January, but they're in the news cycle almost every month. So we'll have free agency. We'll have a show talking about free agency. We'll have a show talking about who we have as free agents on our side. And then we'll have draft shows coming up. So we'll still be talking Vikings off and on throughout the late winter, spring, and summer. Because like I said, that's just how the NFL does it. So, I think, yeah, no really questions this week or comments. So I think we're at 15 and a half minutes. I'm going to wrap it up, like I said, just do a quick one here. So thank you to the Fan Zone for sponsoring us as usual. Forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. And please tune in for the January 9th and the January 16th episodes when I'll review the offense and the defense on each of those shows there. Just a season review on that. And then we'll start getting into Wild Timberwolves and Twins starting up here soon. So make sure you check out the episodes on the 9th and 16th about the season review, and we'll go from there. Maybe I'll give away another Brandon Zylstra autograph. I might do that. So that'll be something to dangle to listen to. I'll tell you how you can have a chance to win a Brendan Zylstra autograph hat. We'll do an Brendan Zylstra autographed hat possibly over the next couple of weeks, that kind of in the season. And I will try to get Brandon on one more time here. I tried to get him on before Christmas, but he said he was just super busy and he didn't really have time, but he said he wants to get back on. So I will have Zylstra on again in the upcoming weeks, just to kind of have a season review and just kind of talk to him about his first official season in the NFL and just his overall thoughts and of what happened and the disappointment of not making the playoffs. So I think we'll kind of wrap it up with there. Thank you for those that joined me this week. Thank you to the Fan Zone. Thank you for listening. Share this podcast to whoever wants to listen. And we will see you next week for the episode on the 9th, where we will review either the offense or the defense for the season. So thank you once again, guys, and we will see you next week.